This is how you should be playing Elden Ring. Look, Elden Ring is a massive game with an absolutely crazy amount of stuff to do. In fact, all of the From Software's Souls games have had something very similar that draws players in. It's this layer of mystique that's weaved into the items, the lore, the level design. It allows players to go as deep as they want to go when they play the games. This should be one of the many ways you choose to play Elden Ring. No death runs. I know. If you're new to the channel, you may not be aware, but that is all I'm currently doing right now, and I'm covering a variety of episode types dedicated to it. So how does it change the game? On the surface, our minds immediately go to, I have to start over when I die. It sounds miserable. Well, there's so much more than that, so hear me out. Let's talk about level design. In Elden Ring, there are dozens of locations that are all stunningly gorgeous and brutally dangerous. But when we go through these levels, we know we can just respawn at the nearest site of grace. So naturally, not as much attention or care is given to what the player has to perform to make it through. Additionally, bosses can just be attempted over and over again, whether or not the content nearest the boss and the surrounding areas has truly been explored or not. So often exploring that content leads to items, runes that contribute to a successful fight against the region's boss, and in some cases I'm sure that they're just being completely skipped. So this really does create an environment, in my opinion, where more content is being missed, and usually player engagement overall probably decreases over time as a result of that. So I assure you that if dying means losing 5 to 10 or more hours of progress before you walk through a fog gate and weren't ready, you're going to explore every nook and cranny possible to give yourself that edge you may need to kill whatever is hiding behind that fog gate. And you're going to be terrified or amazed the whole time in a whole new way. So let me say all of that in one sentence. Playing no death runs will force you to explore every nook and cranny of the game to minimize, as much as possible, the chance of dying. Let's talk about the mechanics. Creating characters. Depending on your familiarity or how much you care about interacting with the lore, these choices may be more weighed towards the origin story of each, or if you don't care at all about the lore, it's probably all about stats. Problem solved. It's all about the stats in a no-death run. Fighting the grafted scion without a good shield, like the Vagabond has, is not very easy to do. It can be done, and if you're a high-tier player, you could probably routinely do it. Point attribution. In a no-death run, your choices will be heavily impacted by the path you are choosing to take throughout the game. Clearly, vigor and endurance are very important. Vigor gives you more survivability, it gives you that bigger health bar, it's a big deal, and endurance allows you to move around longer, roll more times, and have better armor on. Flasks. The acquisition of cracked tears and the use of the Flask of Physic is a more micromanaged process from area to area than in a normal playthrough where dying doesn't matter. In my opinion, this is a major deal. The entire mechanic of the game, it is very deep, it has a ton of variety and combinations that make a huge difference in fights and survivability. And that segues perfectly into status ailments. These are extremely scary in a no-death run, and most often what is going to cause death, if not gravity or a boss. They are also extremely effective to use against enemies. In fact, I'm going to argue that the ability to apply status ailments and the use of crafted items gives your character a completely different level of expected survival when you add on the Flask of Physic. Essentially, it is my opinion that with the general familiarity of each area and very safe play, you shouldn't die. And I'm here to prove that a mid to high tier player, when playing safe, can accomplish a no-death run. Trust me, I'm by no means a pro, nowhere near it. But I'm going to complete a no-death run, and I'm going to have a blast doing it, and I'm going to share the whole thing with all of you. I want to say something specifically to those who have maybe stopped playing, or who desperately still want to have a reason to play this amazing game besides waiting for lore, content-based DLC. This will reinvigorate the way that you look at the different areas of the game, and it's going to give you an entirely new appreciation for every single terrifying menace that's hiding in every one of these beautiful areas. Give it a try.